The fear of Nyesom Wike is the beginning of wisdom when it comes to the real estate market here in the very city of Abuja. Now, this has become a very harsh reality to investors who are now interested in investing into the very city of Abuja because of the news of demolitions, revocations, and everything that is causing a controversy on the internet right now when it comes to investing into this very city. Therefore, throughout the entire course of this said video, I'll be giving you an insider information as to what is currently happening under the administration of the current FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and what he has been able to achieve over these last 2 years. What are some of the things he has done, and also what are some of the things he plans to do over the next coming years. To know the right places to invest in, to know the right locations you should invest in, and also what to expect in the next coming years when it comes to the real estate market in this very city. My name is David, and I am the real estate broker in the city of Abuja who is committed to bringing you the absolute best of real estate, educating you, and also bringing you the most affordable real estate investment opportunities in this very city. Now, one thing that has been always known to the online users when it comes to the Abuja real estate market is demolitions, demolitions, demolitions. And this is very true because right now there are a lot of demolitions happening in several locations inside this very city. And also evocations is very rampant as it comes to the administration of the current FCT minister. Now, what is the reason of these said demolitions, and also what are the reasons of these said revocations? These are two subject matters we have tried to discuss and also digress on this particular YouTube channel. So make sure to go back and watch some of my previous video sessions where I've talked about revocations and also talk about demolitions in this very city. And today we'll be going far from that particular subject matter. Irrespective of the controversial nature of the current FCT minister, there are some things we have to hand over to him in terms of the development, in terms of his input in this particular market. And one thing that is very visible right now is that he's trying to streamline owning lands inside this very city to make the process more easier for developers who are putting in more effort to make sure that this city gets to its full development stage in terms of the collaborations of both from the private sector and also from the governmental point of view. Right. So what the FCT minister is currently doing is to ensure that developers, their building approval is not delayed, their RFO, TFO, their title document is not delayed. Now, on a typical day, when a developer applies for a CFO or for an RFO, for a building approval, anything that has to do with approvals from the FCD authority, it usually takes up to 6 months and most times 8 months. But right now, what he is trying to do is to streamline that said process and make it shorter for them to move forward with their work. And I can literally tell you right now that the current FCT minister has signed over 5,000 CFOs since he came into power, and that is very amazing. Now, this is also one conversation that is very important because a lot of people, they are now afraid as to investing into the Abuja real estate market as a whole. With this being a major factor why some of the current developers now find the company of the FCT minister very appreciating because of what he's doing in terms of the quick approval process on them applying either for a CFO, RFO, or for a building approval. Now, let's move on to our next point. He is now enforcing the Land Use Act on the current state of things in this very city. He's enforcing both the Land Use Act and also enforcing both the FCT Act of 1976. One critical example we can use is the Idu and Lugbe demolition, we can use the Gishiri demolition, we can use the Apowasa demolitions, and all those things. Now, what he's doing is that they now have the power to classify that said location to becoming an urban area, therefore giving them the right to collect that said land back from the local council authorities. These are subject matters we have tried to discuss on this particular YouTube channel. So like I said earlier, do ensure to scroll down and watch some of our videos talking about revocations and also demolitions. The next thing we also have to look at is how he's taking the ground rent very seriously. Now, for the previous FCT ministers, because they have close relationships with some of the top ministers and the top senators in the very city of Abuja, their non-compliance is not a problem to those said previous FCT ministers. But what the current FCT minister is doing now is that he's taking the case of the ground rent very seriously. I did a video sometime back where Wike currently revoked the land of both Dino Melai, revoked the land of the former President Muhammadu Buhari, and also revoked the land of a very big construction firm in this very city that is in charge of the constructing of different roads inside the Z city because of one, ground rent, which is very important, and also because of two, taking possession of that particular land. In fact, within this year alone, the current FCT minister has revoked over 4,900 plus properties located in both the central area, Gariki and Wuse, which is very, very important. And all these are lying under the subtopic of the ground rent. Some people have not paid their ground rent for over 10 years, and right now he's trying to implement the FTT Act and also implement the Land Use Act of 1978 to these said parties who are non-compliant to these particular rules being laid out. Another thing we have to critically look at is the possession taking when it comes to buying land in this very city. A lot of investors has this ideology that once they sign that piece of paper called the deed of assignment or deed of transfer, then that is the last process for them. But in real sense, the process goes even more further than signing just that said piece of paper. Taking possession of that very land is very, very important. I stated earlier that the current FCT minister revoked a land owned by a very big construction firm. And the reason why he revoked that said property was because after 10 years of the former FCT minister allocating a very huge chunk of land to that said construction company, they've not done anything tangible on that particular land. Therefore, it still gives him the power to revoke that particular land that has been allocated by the previous FCT minister. So 3 things we have to look at now is that 1, the local council allocated properties that is currently revoking is revoking properties because of not compliance to the ground rent rule when it comes to the FCT Act and also the 1978 Land Use Act. Then another important thing is the taking of possession after signing that piece of document. Let's now talk about a very known subject matter that is currently attached to the current FCT minister, which is demolitions. Now, severally I have stated on this particular YouTube channel that the only reason why we are seeing a lot of demolitions when it comes to the Abuja space as a whole is that those said lands that is currently revoking, they were meant to be public infrastructures on those particular lands, be it roads, be it sector centers that it's called in the master plan of Abuja. These are several things that are meant to be on that particular land, and right now a lot of people have built on those particular property, and the only resolve they have to fall back to is to demolition those said properties. Now, I gave a very clear scenario on one of our conversations about demolitions in the Idu and Lugbe area, and I said clearly that the first time he got into power, he had the mindset of demolishing the entire Lugbe, because Lugbe has scattered the master plan as it is known to be, right? So the first thing he wanted to do was to demolish the entire Lugbe. But because he knew that that would cause a national crisis, he had to step back and now take little part of Lugbe, which was a very big news at that particular time. So the demolition that is currently happening is because he's trying to enforce the master plans on different locations inside this very city. Another thing we can lay emphasis on when it comes to the current work of the FCT minister is that if you apply the roads of Wuye, Wuse, Utako, and all these districts, you would notice that he is trying to do something, right? He is now creating pavement or walkway, as it is known, in 2 parts of these said roads. So what we can classify that as people who play actively in this said real estate sector is that he is now finishing development in the phase 3 and moving to the phase 4 of development, and also from phase 4 progressing to the phase 5 of development. And if you are very familiar with the planning of Abuja as a city, you know that it is divided into several phases, and right now they are finishing the development of phase 3 and moving to phase 4, then progressing to phase 5. And if you as an investor, you want to position yourself well and invest rightly, then the phase 4 and the phase 5 are places that you should take note of. And some of the districts in the phase 4 and phase 5 are Lugbe, Idu, Kyami, Apo, and some of those said areas. And we have investment opportunities in every location I just mentioned right now. With the progression of the development right now in the city of Abuja going from the left-hand side of the city to the right-hand side of the city, that means they are done with the phase 1, they are done with the phase 2, they are currently in the phase 3, they are moving to phase 4, and from phase 4 they are entering phase 5. This is how the structure of the development is moving in this very city. And right now, he's trying to finish out the development in the phase 3 and moving to the phase 4 and then progressing to the phase 5. And as an investor, you should take note of these said locations I just mentioned, because in the nearest future, these said areas are going to be the future of the city of Abuja. And if you want to be that an investor, is positioning yourself rightly by investing into the said phases and also knowing how to invest rightly, then do ensure to reach out to me on the number shown right on your screen. Once again, my name is Alifne David, and I'm a real estate broker in the city of Abuja who is committed to bringing you the absolute best of real estate, educating you, and also bringing you the most affordable real estate investment opportunities in this very city. I'll see you on our next video session. Until then, stay safe.